Tucker Carlson left Fox. Well, he was fired from Fox. The report was they have decided to part ways, but no such thing. So there's a lot of speculation going around that at the end of the day, he thought that he was bigger than Fox. And I kind of want to approach this story in from two angles. One is, you're talking about two ICs before, Dr. Rod, that it's really important to know our position, because one of the speculations of why he was fired was Lachlan Murdoch, who is Rupert Murdoch's son, who has taken over the Fox network, and apparently there was some issues with him, Lachlan Murdoch, being respected for the leader that he is and not just the boss's son. And so some people say it's good on Lachlan for putting his foot down and showing that no one's bigger than the network and everything like that. So there's kind of that warning that maybe if you're in a leadership position and think that you're bigger than the organization, we see it a lot. People leave and try to start their own thing and they just can't, or whatever. That's why you see so many church splits and all those sorts of things. So just a bit of warning, like, know what you're called to, because you do need to know your position sometimes. However, what's kind of come out and what seems to be more of a true story is it was just the fact that he wouldn't play the game. He spoke out on things that he shouldn't have, that kind of offended, sponsors and things like that. And he released a Twitter video like 5 days ago that's already had almost 24 million views. And once again, the link is below. I actually thought that it was a very, very beautiful, let's call it a monologue or a presentation, where he spoke for a few minutes and just sort of shared very cryptically what's happening and what's he didn't really share anything, but there was a lot of cryptic messages in there. But there was one statement in there that I wanted to kind of emphasize with this. And he says, when honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who have been trying to silence them shrink and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. I really like this, that he says, look, and I like how he approached this, is we need to stay the truth. We need to speak it calmly, but not be afraid to be embarrassed by it. And if we stay strong, eventually the weak will fall apart. What's your thoughts on that comment, Dr. Rod?
Look, I think there might be a lot of people who wonder whether that in fact is a true statement based on their own experience. And I know I do have a lot of confidence in the power of words, both spoken and written. But truth itself is under such attack today.
Yeah.
There must be many, many people who actually wonder whether that's a little bit more wishful thinking rather than a statement of fact. I'd like to believe that, ultimately, truth that is objective, truth will prevail. For me, clearly, biblical truth will prevail. But, I actually wonder whether that will only be the case when Jesus returns.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
Keep going, Dr. Rod.
I think this is a symptom of the fallenness of the world, although, look, people like Tucker Carlson who have spoken out fearlessly and obviously received a lot of criticism for it, but have amazing followership.
Yes.
Look, most people would probably be aware that he was pulling in an audience of over 3 million people. I think that might have been on Tuesday nights. I may be wrong there, but I think that was his biggest audience night, and it was something like 3.2 million viewers on his last Tuesday night in that 8 p.m. time slot. I think his departure was unexpected from his perspective, because my understanding is that they'd already gone into production for his Monday night's show, which I think that would have been on the 24th of April. And then, of course, that announcement was made fairly late in the piece. So it looks to me as if he wasn't expecting to depart exactly when he did. Look, he's a very intelligent person, clearly does his research, or at least he's got researchers for the program. And he's not clearly and irretrievably aligned to any particular person.
Yes.
We've seen that with his comments about Donald Trump, for example. So he's somebody who clearly changes his mind on the basis of evidence. Well, we don't see a lot of it going on in the media, and undoubtedly he's upset, people because of that. So I haven't listened to the whole of his address at the Heritage Foundation, but I've certainly looked at snippets of it. That also has had a lot of views. I can't remember how many at the moment, but it's a lot of views. And so clearly he has a good deal of influence. And even though I have a little bit of trouble believing that statement that he made, it's a good, solid statement. And if it's not true, it is approximately true over a long period of time, let me say it that way. And he certainly has been somebody who has been prepared to stand up and speak what I would regard as objective truth.
Yeah, that's good. I think that you're right in the fact that it is a little wishful thinking, but there is truth in it. Because I really like the fact that, he talks about speaking calmly and without embarrassment. It reminds me of this clip that I saw, it would have been 2 or 3 weeks ago, where there was I think it was a Democrat minister or candidate, or like a Democrat, what do they call them over there? A representative, standing in the halls of like the thing, just shouting and screaming, like about, I don't know, I think it was about abortion or something like that. Something. And a Republican representative came up and started trying to talk to the person, and he's just like, spoke to him calmly, and he's like, let's have a talk, let's have a discussion about this. And the Democrat just wanted to scream and shout, and the Republican was just no, and or he was an independent or something like that, but he was more of a conservative, representative, and he was just speaking calmly, and this guy was just screaming profanities and just like, looking crazy. And at the end, maybe the person speaking calmly didn't win that interaction, but we all viewed it and he won in the end. Do you know what I mean? Like it was kind of like, yeah, that guy proved himself to be an idiot, and the other guy proved himself to be wise. I mean, I'm studying Proverbs at the moment, and there's, it's always talking about, a wise person just keeps their mouth shut, just allow a fool to keep talking, and eventually they'll reveal themselves as a fool. So I think yes, you're right that it is a little bit hopeful, but I think it's still true in the long term. That if you are just calm, you don't get embarrassed. I think what he's talking about there is the longevity of it. Don't get embarrassed and give up on it, along the way, because eventually, well, look at him, and we'll see what happens. But he was trying to be silenced. He's now left, and he's now got millions of people just waited on bated breath. Just 23.6 million people at this stage has watched that tweet. you know. And once again, link below if you want to rack the views up of that. Very calm. And I think that's his demeanor. I like the way that he does present himself. So actually kind of, I suppose that's a good message of he's left, but there was no emotion in what he was sharing. Like you couldn't, like, when I say emotion, there was passion, but there wasn't, like, you could tell that he wasn't coming from a place of fear. He wasn't coming from a place of hurt or resentment or anything like that. He's definitely determined, and he's like, let's get into this. He's got passion about the mission. But it's quite interesting. I think that the way he presented himself was, that's how you should leave a place. That's a gentlemanly way of leaving, right? Now, like he's saying, truth will come out, and he's just going to keep speaking calmly without embarrassment, and eventually it'll all come out. So, Tucker Carlson leaving. What can we as leaders learn from it? Make sure you stick with truth. Make sure you know the truth. Stay calm. Don't get embarrassed by the truth. Stay the course. Yes, there'll be a lot of people against you, but just stay calm and stick with truth. I think that's eventually, and as Dr. Rod said, whether it's now the truth will prevail or when Jesus comes, truth will come.
But I think also, Craig, speaking the truth has its own reward. Even if you don't win the argument, it does have its own reward because you remain true to yourself. And I think that's pretty important.
That's really
and I'm not sure that there are a lot of people in public debates these days who really don't have a very coherent worldview, but calmly speaking the truth has its own reward in terms of your own internal values and your own worldview. And if you continue to state your position calmly, it has its own reward, even if you don't win the argument.
You're 100% correct there. You know, you see all these videos of people like Ben Shapiro or Michael Knowles or Matt Walsh or whatever going and doing a presentation somewhere, and they get to question time, and someone who wants to fight them just starts shouting and you're trying to talk over the top of them, and they're just standing from stage talking calmly. And like that, like I said, that proverb, like, a fool will reveal himself. so there is definitely strength in remaining calm in the face of embarrassing moments. Talking about people leaving networks, and this is, I don't have too much to say on this one because we're talking about leaders, and this person probably, I wouldn't really call them. They're a leader, obviously, but I don't rate them as a leader. But I just thought it'd be interesting to see the stark contrast between someone like Tucker Carlson, who's all about truth, that's approaching things calmly, that is trying to represent, trying to maintain integrity and some normality in the world. And then you see the way that he's left, and now he's being offered, Patrick Bet-Davies offered him $100 million to come and join his join Valuetainment. So, Tucker Carlson's, he's going to be okay. Hey, you just watched an excerpt from the On the Cube Leadership Podcast. If you like that, hit the like button and put a comment below. Hey, if you want to watch more videos like this, check out our channel, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe.